Welcome to Fuzzybutts and Friends. Well, as much as it drives Fuzzybutts all over this great world of ours absolutely crazy every time they hear me say it, I am the host of this show, Luke Robinson, your big dog, and I'm happy to have back with us again this week, Ginger Morgan. She's the executive director of the Puppy Up Foundation. There she is. Ginger, how are you this week?
I am doing well. You know, on some of the other podcasts, I've complained because it's been so hot in Memphis, and it's really actually getting to be pleasant, and I'm loving fall, and the dogs absolutely love the cooler weathers, especially in the morning. So
you certainly like to talk about the weather, but you're right. You have so many puppy dogs to walk that every day is thinking about the weather day. Well, it's nice.
Exactly. I'm all about the weather.
Nice that it's nice down there in Memphis, where Fuzzybutts Studios actually is. As you can see, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, I am not at Fuzzybutts Studios. I am up in Cambridge, New York, getting ready this Wednesday to start Walk 3. We've had a 3-week delay. It's been quite an ordeal, but we're going to be shooting a special episode about Walk 3 and Hudson's Hope, and Hudson, who I just lost to cancer. So we'll be putting that up. That will be live this week, or I think check the schedule on our YouTube channel, fuzzybuttsstudios.com, to find out when that's going to air. This week, this episode, though, it's so particular, it's so germane to Walk 3. But before I begin with my introductions, I want to set this problem up. I got to set this story up. So for those who know about Walk 1, my first walk from Austin to Boston, ticks were a tremendous problem across 16 states, all the way from Texas to Massachusetts. And in fact, in Ohio, they were so bad that every single day I was pulling off like about 100 ticks off of Hudson and Murphy every single day. And the problem is, pulling them off my Great Pyrenees was one problem. The other problem is that at night we would sleep together in the tent. So at night the ticks would jump off of Hudson and Murphy and crawl down on the tent and crawl up my legs and crawl in my hair. And the tick infestation was so bad in our tent that I could never sleep. I had ticks crawling in my hair. So I called Ginger. Yeah, it was nightmarish. I still have nightmares about that. And it was so bad that Ginger, remember this? I had called you up on the phone. I said, Ginger, if we don't solve the tick problem, I just don't know if I could continue on with this walk. It was so bad that I had to go to Walmart and buy a pantyhose for my head so that the ticks would not crawl in my hair at night.
You know, we don't have any of those pictures. I haven't seen any pantyhose on your head pictures.
I think we do. They're in the archives, I assure you. But it does exist, and that story is definitely real. So there probably is no greater authority on the problem of ticks in this world than me and my travels. So on that note, it's a tremendous honor to introduce a person who's been thinking about and trying to solve the tick problem for some time. Daniel Kiss, he's the CEO of ProtectOne. Daniel, how are you? Welcome to Fuzzybutts and Friends.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Thank you very much for having us on your show.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. So the tick problem, it's sometimes killing the fun, right? When walking for a good cause, like you do, so it's a pleasure, and I'm very happy that we started what we have started back in 2010.
Let's start from where you are, though. You're from Hungary. You've got an accent. It's a lovely accent. I love accents. It's very lovely. But you're from Hungary, and the first question I had was, when Ginger connected with you, is, good God, they have ticks over in Europe. So I guess you guys have ticks over there, correct?
Oh yes, it's a major issue. It's a major issue. It's like when you're going to school. This is one of the first things they teach you, how to remove ticks.
You guys already talking about ticks. I don't know, for the people who are watching on YouTube, I'm itching. I'm starting to scratch my back, my neck. Just talking about them makes me crazy.
I should have put the disclaimer on there that this is the itchy, scratchy episode.
Exactly.
But it's amazing, Daniel, that the problem is so bad that they talk about ticks in school. So So are the tick-borne diseases that you have over in Hungary, are they just as bad and lethal as they are here in the United States?
Yes, the number one, and we have a couple of diseases that are different in the US and than in Europe, but the main issue is Lyme disease, which is which you are very familiar over the US. I know it's really really bad. All the statistics I have read about the US, and it's the same bad over here in Europe. So Lyme disease is something. There is the biggest problem is that there is no vaccination against Lyme disease. So so that makes it terrible or very difficult to protect yourself. So that's
Okay.
and that's the disease that we all share all over
Right.
the world. So Lyme
Right.
disease is everywhere.
Well, how long have you been working on and thinking about ticks? So is that where were you born in Hungary?
Yes, I'm born in Hungary, but then you know, it's considering Europe and America, it's really you can compare it very nicely. It's only that the main difference is that you share the same language over in the US, although people from Florida might look a bit different than people from Pennsylvania, you know, like on the first side. We have the same here in Europe, only that for example, people in Scandinavia, they speak Swedish, for example, and down in Spain, of course, they speak Spanish. But apart from that, it's very usual for families to move. So that's what we did. We moved to Germany when I was around 7 years of age. So I grew up in Germany.
So, but everybody, it sounds like in Europe talks ticks, though, right? Everybody in Europe talks ticks.
Yes.
So
yes,
it's a common European problem. And so, how long have you been thinking about it and working on it, Daniel?
You know, that's quite interesting. We got to understand ticks quite in a young age, and I had a dog myself when I was a child, and so you learn very fast how ticks looks and how to protect yourself from ticks, but there was always one or the other tick that you just didn't found, not on the dog and not on yourself, and that's why it was around 2009 when I heard about this solution for the first time. It's not been invented by me or by my company. It's been invented by an Italian professor. Just another evidence how bad the tick situation in Europe is. So it could have been a Scandinavian, a Spanish, or an Italian professor. In that regard, it was an Italian professor. They were looking for a solution how they could prevent the dog of getting the tick bite, because back then all the spot-ons and chemicals. We talk about 1993, so it's quite some time back, and the problem was always that the tick had to suck blood first in order to fall off the dog, to suck out the poison, and then to die off. And in some cases, the infestation happened between for the dog because the poison was just not strong enough, or the tick was stronger than the poison. You know, that's something that happened in a lot of cases, and that's when they were looking for a solution how they could prevent the tick bite itself. And they were looking together with the Veterinary and Sciences University in Milano. They were looking for a solution, and this is how they ended up with ultrasound. Back in 1993, ultrasound was how can I say? Today, ultrasound is very common. A lot of medical instruments. You can use it for thousands of things. When mom's checking the belly, you know, that's also ultrasound when they're checking the baby. So ultrasound is used for a lot of things, Back then, it was not so common, and they figured out a frequency that that disturbed ticks in the way how they approach how they approach the host, and yes, in 1993 the first product was born.
Okay.
So and for me, luckily, how I got into that, I just heard there was an exhibition back in Barcelona, and people, I heard somebody talking about a crazy professor that's running around with some anti-tick product, ultrasound, but the guy just seems crazy, you know. So and I said, okay, let's give it a shot. I'm interested in ticks. We always had the problem with my pets and with the family when we were out in the nature. So so that's when we started to talk. It was 2009, I think, when we started to talk with the professor, and then yes, the thing is that what I found many times in my life, that at universities you have all those brains, you know, they figure out like really crazy good stuff, but then it needs just another person to put it on the market. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I seem to have collected crazy people, crazy professors my entire life, crazy scientists. I totally understand it, but you're right. So you had an inventor that needed to commercialize the product. And in fact, my former life actually was helping commercialize technology, not specific to veterinary science or medicine, but you're right. So you were the commercial side. So you saw the potential of the ultrasound technology. You saw the potential, and of course you saw the problem. Of course, being European, you know, it being a pan-European problem, a pandemic, I guess, of sorts. I don't know if that word applies to tick infestations, but clearly, so you knew the problem, you saw the solution, and you put those two together. Before we get to how the technology and the ultrasound really works, because I know that you're not the scientist, but I'm sure you understand how it works. I want to emphasize to our audience that it's a no bite solution, and that was important. That's a very important distinction for me, because to not do so, basically the solutions that are out there requires that you basically put a chemical into your dog, and that chemical supposes that the tick actually bites the dog and then dies. What you already have the mixing of the blood, which means there could be some exposure to the parasite, the thing that causes the disease in the first place. And so you really don't even want the tick on there. And so I know that for my first walk, I don't recall exactly, we did find a solution. I don't know which solution that we ended up using that seemed to be effective, but when we were in Texas, we used a drug that was on the market that was supposed to be so powerful that it was a repellent. It was supposedly a no-bite solution. But you know, Daniel, it was so powerful that it made Murphy sick. And Ginger, this was before you. This was with Lori and Silas.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, we the vet there in East Texas recommended it, and we put it on. It was so noxious. It was even noxious to me.
The smell was horrible.
The smell was so powerful, but he vomited for several days. And so just to paint the problem for pet parents, I think perfectly, and how well I know this, is that prior to this ultrasound technology, and just as another disclaimer, I have not tried it yet, but I'm definitely going to be trying this Tickless. Here it is right here, folks, the ProtectOne Tickless ultrasound solution. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you can see this. We'll put all the links, of course, on social media. But on walk one, that was only the option out there available, was really strong chemicals to act like a repellent to keep the tick off of your companion animal. But that strong chemical means that it's toxic, it's noxious, and I think that was found to cause cancer. And Ginger, correct me if I'm mistaken, they ultimately pulled that product from the market. So that's another lesson for.
Yeah, I don't remember which product that was.
I'm pretty sure it is.
We wound up switching when you got
Correct.
to Ohio.
Vectra was what we used, I think, ultimately,
yeah.
and that was a fairly decent solution. But it was in Ohio that was the big problem. So pet parents, before when you consider this problem and are looking for a solution for a companion animal, you need the no bite solution. So what Daniel and his company are working on in this technology really, I'm hoping that it's very promising, and I'm very excited to test it. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, Daniel, but I wanted to paint the picture on how big of a problem and how important this is.
And I want to interject as
Sure.
well, but it's not just for your companion animal, it's for you as well. Isn't that right,
Yeah.
Daniel, that you have
Oh,
products
yes.
for people?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yes, I was so grateful for that, because I didn't know exactly back then. What I knew is that there are some dog ticks and there are human ticks, but there are different ticks. And then when we started to market this product, I really wanted to understand everything about it. So I went to the Duke University, and I made a course in parasitology, so to understand everything about ticks. And so I'm also a parasitologist. So
Wow.
probably
Wow.
I can talk. Actually, I could talk for hours about ticks,
All right.
how amazing creatures they are. But
Wow. That's wonderful.
but
That's wonderful that you're driven to do that. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, being out here in the field, I didn't get your dossier, your CV, your full CV. So I apologize. I didn't know that about you. My
no,
apologies.
I think my lovely colleague, she forgot to send it to you. So it's
Oh,
absolutely not your fault. It's because they're used to that. Okay,
I
Daniel.
blame I blame everything on my lovely colleague too. Trust me, that's what I
Yeah.
do.
yeah.
so so but the thing is to come back to just talk about ticks. Probably those who are listening or watching us, every one of them met already ticks, and probably they had the same idea about ticks that I had, or that 99.9% of all humanity has. So talk a little bit about ticks. So ticks in general, they're different species, but the most common species we share, it's the brown-legged deer tick. This is what you call it in North America, and you always look for sizes, right? Oh, the tiny ones, the big ones, the medium ones, and so on. So let's see how ticks are made up. So when ticks are born, there are a couple thousand of larvae. One tick is producing a couple thousand of larvae at a time, and then in a larvae stage, the larvae start to look for a host to feed on. So that would be small mammals like small rats, mice, and so on and so on. Everything very small. So they attach, they suck for a couple of days blood, they fell off, and then they transform into the next stage, which is a nymph. The nymph is the tick that you can see easily. You can easily recognize, oh, that's a tick. Because the larvae is so tiny, you probably see a little black spot on your fingernail that is moving very slowly. So that's how tiny a larvae is. And then the nymph, that's already a tick you can recognize. Oh yes, that's a tick. And then the nymph needs to suck blood again in order to transform into the final stage, which is the adult stage. And because only in the adult stage they are able to reproduce themselves. So that's why the 3 life stages, and this is how actually the infestation is happening. So we have in the wilderness dozens of animals that are carrying the diseases, but they just carry the disease. So it doesn't really affect them at all. Not like the dogs or humans. So when we got it, we in our body is where the Lyme disease can spread. So Lyme disease caused by a bacteria. So how it looks, let's say the tick in a nymph stage was sucking blood on a deer. So the tick is sucking blood, and this is how he got this bacteria. this bacteria rests in the stomach part of the tick, and next time, let's say the tick would feed on me as the third host, and so what it does, the tick starts to suck blood, and it goes down to his stomach. So that's the information for the bacteria. We have a host. Okay, now I swim upwards, and where the tick, the mouth part, contains also where the excrement is leaving the body of the tick. So the tick is sucking blood, and he sucks in the food. He digests it in the stomach, but he doesn't need the liquid inside. So that's why when you sometimes when you see a tick that's engorged already and you step on it, what you see is like really black blood coming out, right? It's very thick blood. The reason for that is because he spits back the liquid, and with the liquid, the bacteria leaves the body of the tick and ends up in my body in that case. So,
okay, that's just gross. That's just gross. Gross.
Yes. Yeah. So sorry, these are just the facts, and I know it's gross, but I think it's very important for everyone who looks at this podcast to understand that I have seen in so many cases. We had a tour around the lake, a bicycle tour, and we stopped at one station. And what I figured out, we were in the middle of the wilderness, and then one mom just picking up his 5-year-old son and starts to run with the son and screaming like, "Oh my God, doctor, doctor." And we run there, "Oh my God, what happened?" And then she shows us that the kid has a sucking tick in his stomach. And I said, okay, calm down. So ticks are very bad, but not that bad, because this cycle where the bacteria leaves the body of the tick, that would take 12 to 24 hours. So,
right, so let's break that down right there, because that was always that's one of the questions I have, is that I've always heard though that there is a period in which a tick will bite you and then it actually transmits a disease. How long is that period typically?
That's 12 hours at least, but it's more like 24. Okay. So, yeah. Sorry.
Well, I was going back to what you said earlier, and Ginger mentioned is that this all depends on, of course, that you can actually locate or spot the tick when you're dealing with your companion animal or yourself. I know I have some crevices and some cracks, crooks and nannies or whatever that everyone has, that you don't always check and stuff, and you can go longer than 12 to 24 hours. And plus, I think the very thing that repulses Ginger is the mere thought of a tick actually feasting on you and then I guess vomiting up the blood back into you, and that's just a gnarly notion altogether. So that's also why I love your Tickless solution, your no-bite solution, is I don't even want the damn things on me or my boys, my companion animals. So one question I have about how a tick operates, I remember I was doing an event, a veterinary event, conference somewhere, and they were showing some research done at University of Oklahoma, because supposedly here in the United States, what they were saying, that's where most of the tick research is done in Oklahoma here in the United States. And they were showing videos of how quickly ticks can be attracted. And so one question I thought my recollection was, are they attracted by what attracts them to animals and people? Is it carbon dioxide or monoxide?
Dioxide. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you expel what you expel or breathe out is the very thing that attracts them to you, right?
Exactly. And okay, just a little information about ticks. So ticks are 8-legged creatures. So it's the family of spiders, right? So ticks have eyes, but they mostly blind. They see only dark, white and black. So so they don't use it really for finding the host. Let's call it host. So what they do, the two front legs, it's called Haller's organ. And these organs, it's like little holes under the arms. So that's when you see when a tick wants to feed, he sits most of the time in the grass or in the bush, never up on trees, never. Don't make, I heard it so many times that, oh yes, I have an uncle and he went through the forest and on his head, he could feel how the ticks are jumping. So ticks are not jumping, so they cannot jump. So that would be a grasshopper, you know. So no, ticks are not jumping. Because simply they always close to the ground because that's where the food is. So they need food. So up on the tree you have a beautiful view of Pennsylvania, but no food. So they would never go up on the hill or on the tree. Sorry. So they always close to the ground, always. So when a tick wants to feed, he sits in the grass with the two front legs up in the air like this, like on a Bruce Springsteen concert, you know, like.
We're all doing the wave.
Yes.
You know, Daniel,
Exactly like
Daniel,
that.
it sounds like you spend too much time with ticks over there.
Probably. So the tick is like this, and with those organs, so he can feel exactly like you said. He can feel carbon dioxide, and he can feel vibration in the air. So these sensors, these organs are really amazing. So carbon dioxide, vibration in the air, and heat. So he can feel the heat of the body. So this probably you've been. They told us in the school that when we go out, we should wear long trousers. And part of that is not to avoid that the tick is crawling under your on your legs easily, or that you put your socks around your trousers so that the tick cannot crawl inside. It's to isolate the heat, you know. So when the tick cannot feel the heat so easily, he will have no interest in you. So heat is a big factor, and the other one is carbon dioxide. So this is one of the reasons why, you know, you're going to find like 100 ticks on your pet, while you would find 2 or 3 ticks on yourself. So we talk about the same ticks. It's not like ticks don't like humans. It's just dogs are so much easier to find because they absorb more heat. They are closer to the ground when breathing. Then they you know, carbon dioxide, which is the main cause with the tick attack. So ticks can feel much easier pets, cats, dogs, and also it's easier to attach because it's at the end of their legs, it's like a comb. It's strange, like it looks like a comb if you look very closely, and they just attach to the pet. So it's very easy. Just when your dog is running through the grass, it's just very easy to pick up ticks for him. So that's the reason why there are more ticks on pets than on humans.
Yeah, I always felt like though, for me, because I'm an experienced backpacker. I've done 4,000 miles in tick country. Actually, on the West Coast, it was very, very dry on the West Coast, and there were really no ticks. And we'll get to that in a minute. I want to talk about climates and the conditions where you'll find ticks. But I know for me, it just seemed like I could protect myself. I always tuck my hiking pants into my socks. I always keep my skin protected from insects because I'm always in the dirt. I'm always around, exposed to all insects of all ilk, all types. Ticks are the ones I fear the most because of all the diseases that they carry. But so I'm protected during the day. But on my first walk is that the ticks would get on Hudson and Murphy, and I would get as many as I could. I literally had like hundreds. I had like little plastic bags just to take pictures and keep and show everybody how many ticks. I got as many as I'm fairly certain I got every one that I could see, but I didn't get all. But at night we would go into the tent, and it would seem like, and so I had no ticks with me going into the tent. So it seemed like to me that they would jump off my dogs and then somehow find me. So I was curious to wonder, am I somehow a better host or more desirable host than a dog to a tick? That's my first question. The other thing that I just remembered in talking about this at night in the tent, not only did I have the ticks crawling in my hair, so I had to wear pantyhose, but the other thing, just to confirm about the carbon dioxide and the warmth, is at night you could look up in the tent and the meshing, and ticks all night long were crawling on the meshing trying to get in. So it's just amazing how they were focused on us, me and my dogs, in that tent as a food source.
Yeah, I think you should try to not breathe.
That's what I was thinking. Every time I go out into the woods, I'm just gonna I'm gonna hold my breath, run through, and then breathe again.
Well, let's get to the Tickless. I'm hoping this works. I hope I will not have a single tick on me and Grayson the entire walk. So let's get to how it works, because I'm fascinated about how ultrasound repels ticks, because we just talked about what attracts them: carbon dioxide and heat, or carbon dioxide and heat. So how does ultrasound repel them then?
Yes. So back there at the university, they were looking for different frequencies. So to talk a bit about ultrasound, ultrasound is, because some people might think, okay, ultrasound, but my dog can hear ultrasound. So does it bother him or not? So to talk a little bit about ultrasound itself. So every sound up to 20 kilohertz, that's what we call a normal sound. That's what people can hear. So when you talk, when you shout, it goes up 12, 14. Probably everyone remembers when you're a child, you have these headphones at the doctor, and then the doctor is asking you, can you hear the beep? Can you hear the beep? And then you have to raise your arm. It's like, yes, I can hear. Yes, I can hear the beep. So this is when the doctor goes up, like 12, 13, 14 kilohertz, and he's checking on your ears. So bad news is that in our age, we can hear only up to 16, 17 kilohertz. So not 20 anymore. This is childhood. So with age, it's the hearing ability gets worse. So, but to come back to ultrasound, so 20 kilohertz, it's not audible for humans. So that's why we call it ultrasound. The dog whistle, that works on 22 kilohertz. Just to make sure each dog can still hear it, because dogs, it's true, dogs have much better ears than we do. So dog whistle would be 22 kilohertz. There are certain, probably you heard of it, for runners who run outside. There is something called an ultrasonic cannon. That's a very strong ultrasonic signal when you're running beside some buildings or houses, and some wild dogs or loose dogs try to catch you, then you can use the ultrasonic cannon to scare them off. Right. That would be around 24 kilohertz.
Right, but okay, so repels them. Okay, I got that, but I was just curious: does it repel them? Like, does it discombobulate them, confuse them, like certain frequencies, or does it structurally, like, I understand like harmonic resonance, like you can take like a bridge and have frequencies such that the bridge will vibrate and then completely collapse. So I understand the power, I understand some of the physics, not all the physics behind frequencies. Okay. So I understand some of the science, but I'm just curious, and I understand how you can repel with sound. So is it the waves, emitting the waves, the frequencies as a wave? So it's a wave that repels them?
Yes. It in the tests, it appeared that when you use ultrasound, and now we talk about 40 kilohertz of ultrasound, which is a very, very high frequency. So the Tickless works on 40 kilohertz. So it's not audible for dogs. Nobody. Right. It works on the parasites. How it works is that when you see when you probably get to see a couple more ticks in the next days during your walk, and when there is ultrasound, what you see that the two front legs of the tick just start different, like this. So he cannot sense the environment like he's used to. So this is how we can avoid you to get bitten by a tick or the dog. So when there is this frequency around 40 kilohertz, then ticks just cannot understand the way they do normally, the environment. So they just start to walk around. It's not going to be like a direct, not a straight line.
Right. Not like a cannon blast. It's not directional.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So normally, and you just mentioned when you were, I think you mentioned Oklahoma, where you were at the veterinary conference. Yes, normally when a tick feels or senses the host, then he's going a straight line up your legs and looking for a place to suck blood. So when there is ultrasound, what you are going to see is that the tick starts to walk all over. He's going to walk against your leg, and then he turns the other way, and so it's never going to be a straight line. He's just really distracted. So they just walk around, leaving you time to continue or to leave the place where the ticks are. So they have no intention to crawl up and feed on you. So
okay,
that's the technology behind it.
So it's sometimes, so basically here's the Tickless device right here that we're going to wear. So just how we use this, I'm trying to get a good visual of it.
Oh, yes.
Right there. So this
pull the red tab.
So okay, you pull it up, right? This activates the battery, but so this you clip on. So I clip this on the collar of Grayson. Is that correct?
There is this one is specially made for humans.
This is mine.
It's a little bit stronger.
Okay.
We have the one for pets. It's approximately the half size. The one you have in your hands, it's very small, but the one for pets is even smaller. It's around half size, and it has a key ring.
Okay.
And the key ring you can attach to the collar.
I have it. You sent it to Ginger, and I have it with us. I just have this one with me. So the dog one looks a little bit different. This is for humans. This is for me. So where do I just clip this on my belt, or where would I clip this on?
It's very important. You're going to see an emission grill on the front of it. If you can show it to the camera, more in the middle.
To do that, but it's this thing.
Yeah. Okay. So
there
we got it. So it's this is where the sound comes out. Okay. So it's very important that you never block it.
Okay.
So if you, we get sometimes a question, okay, can I put it in my pocket? I say, yes, sure. Then your pocket will be free of ticks. But in real life, since we try to avoid the ticks, and ticks are, as mentioned, they're coming from the ground.
Right.
So right. I would suggest to put it on your shoe leash.
Oh, okay. All right. So that makes more sense.
That's the best place.
Do I need two then, or do I need two, or is one sufficient?
No, one is more than enough. It's it covers 5-6 feet. Okay. So just to come back to the sound. So the sound it emits, it's around 55 decibel, which would cover an area of 5 to 6 feet.
Okay.
So those ticks that are within this 5 to 6 feet radius, they are distracted by the ultrasound. So those ticks that are close to you, they would not look for you. They would not consider you as a host. Yeah.
Excellent. So I have one for me. Then I'll have one for Grayson. And Grayson, you recommend putting it on his collar? Is that where you recommend for Grayson?
Yes. Okay. Yes, absolutely. And then ultrasound, it constantly emits ultrasound. Okay. And it will surround Grayson all over the body. Yeah.
Now with you don't have to worry about dogs with thick fur. Do you have to shave anything so it doesn't cover it up, or should it be okay?
No, that's fur. Fur is no problem.
Okay. All right.
Fur is no problem.
Okay.
There are some certain limitations. If you look at the clinical studies and the clinical trials, under laboratory circumstances, you can prove it works 99.9%. It works 100%. But since we are in business for 12 years now, and we we protected more than 1 million dogs from ticks and fleas. Sorry, I forgot to mention, it works the same way against fleas, but now focus on ticks. So we know that in real life, I have dogs myself. I protect them only with Tickless, nothing else. And still, every now and then, I find one or the other tick on my pet, because let's say you play with him outside in the garden, or you go with him hiking, just like you do. Ultrasound, it is a sound. So when you can block it, like we talked about, you put it in your pocket and then the ultrasound is blocked. So the dog wears it on the collar. When he gets tired and lays down in the garden, if accidentally he would lay down on top of a tick, then his body is blocking the ultrasound. And then sometimes you might find one tick sucking blood, although he wears a Tickless. But for sure, what we do is we limit the chances.
Right.
And,
Exactly, Daniel. Nothing's 100% in this world, you know. And I understand engineering well enough that nothing's 100%. And the other thing is too, is that because what we do with our foundation is cancer and cancer research in dogs, companion animals, is that we always advocate putting you should have your hands on your companion animal all the time to be feeling for that one tick that just gets by, you know, the occasional tick that always gets by. So nothing's 100%, pet parents. Just because you have this wonderful solution, you know, you still got to put your hands on your companion. You should be doing it anyway. Every single day, you should be rubbing up and down, rubbing their belly, you know, massaging their neck and everything. But rub their ears, exactly. Checking for lumps and bumps all over their body. That should be done, you know, daily, you know, preferably, but certainly weekly, for sure. So that should detect that one aberrant tick that just happens to get on your companion animal. But I got to ask you a question before we move on, though. Does this work on other pests, though, Daniel, like employees that aren't doing their job? Does this work on those pests?
It doesn't avoid you from sleepers in your office.
Right. I would have these around my neck, like the things in the car, the pine fresheners in the car. Yeah, exactly.
Although you could scare them that, okay, guys, I bring 1,000 ticks to the office, and only and only those guys get a Tickless that really does the job. So
that's true. That is true. Well, I'm excited to use it. I'm certainly going to be. It is fall here in New England. We're actually not in New England. We're in New York. But the same conditions apply. It's very damp. And one thing I've learned intimately is that ticks love damp conditions. They love the wet. They hate dry. They don't work in the dry conditions. So another thing I've observed, and I don't know if you can speak to this, but it's an interesting observation. I've never looked into it, is I've also found that ticks nest in pine needles more than they do any other. They love pine trees. I found that I find them under firs, pine trees, any type of pine or conifers, as well, as opposed to deciduous trees like maples and stuff. And I don't know if you understand the reason, but my guess, I venture to guess, my theory, my hypothesis is that when you have pine needles or conifer needles, they tend to collect and retain a bunch of water. So maybe that's the reason why. But or maybe they're lower hanging. I don't know, but I just found on my travels just an observation that ticks love conifers more than they love deciduous trees. I don't know if that's true or not.
I can tell you were really walking those 1,000 miles and
yes,
miles.
I walked every single one of those, man.
I can tell. So having somebody making those observations is somebody that really did it. And
it was that bad of a problem. I mean, it was every day. I kid you not. It was every day pulling so many off. So I'm thinking, that's the one thing time on the road gives you, is you actually have time to make those observations. You can stop. But that was such a huge problem. I was just saying, we're not gonna rest wherever they are. That's not where we're gonna rest. And we deduced very early on, or I deduced very early on, patterns that I saw. But yeah, I spent every single mile on the road I have lived. Yes, sir. Well,
Yeah,
I very much look forward to, now that I know how to use these wonderful devices, I look forward to trying them out, Daniel. Is there anything else, Daniel, that you want to talk about ticks, about their anatomy, about the technology, or about some of the diseases? Anything that I'm not thinking about?
I think just to refer to what you just said about the pine and the water. Yes, so humidity, that's what they need. In that sense, they, although I never seen one, but they behave like a vampire. So when you put them out on in the sun, they dead in a couple of minutes. So they dry out very fast. So
Yeah.
so so
Well,
yes, it's
I did the West Coast walk. My first walk was from Austin to Boston, so it was pretty much along the East Coast, which is all wet and damp. The West Coast walk was from May to December, and it was from Washington it was from Canada to Mexico, from north to south. And I think we encountered a few ticks up in Washington, which it was obviously very damp conditions up there. But once we got into Oregon, it was just a really dry season. No ticks at all in California, and I absolutely loved it. And so, if walk 3, this walk can be tick free, let me tell you what, I will be your biggest promoter, your biggest advocate. I'll do whatever I can to get out and peddle these things, because pet parents out there, I cannot emphasize to you that the diseases that that ticks pick up from the vectors, whether the vectors are I guess the dark-tailed deer here in America, I think that's the main vector here in America, or other types of rodents, they pick up the worst of the worst diseases. In fact, there was a new one recently discovered. I posted it on social media. I can't recall it, but they discovered a new tick-borne disease. There's paralysis. There's a type of tick-borne paralysis that's nasty and gnarly that your dogs can get. I think Lyme is probably one of the better ones. The problem with Lyme is that it's so long acting, and that if you don't see, correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, but if you don't see that red wheel around, you pull the tick off and stuff, and if you don't start treating it, Lyme disease can go dormant for a long time, but cause a whole bunch of problems, and then you can have a dog that's arthritic and have a whole host of other problems, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely correctly. In around 60 to 70% of the cases, you're going to see this red ring
Red
where
ring, yeah.
you got the tick bite. And but still, there are 30 to 40% of the cases where for whatever reason this red ring doesn't show up,
Okay.
and still you have the Lyme disease.
Well,
Although
that's good.
I don't want.
No,
Sorry.
please go ahead. Sorry, no, please go ahead.
No, I don't want to I don't want to scare people. So it's very important just to make sure. So make sure you go out with your pets and you go into nature, because that's just one of the wonderfulest things you can do. And especially in America, it's amazing, really, the nature you have. So just make sure when you see a tick, the most important is you remove it as fast as you can. So it doesn't matter if it's a pet, if it's your dog, your cat, or yourself. When you find a tick, just remove it as close as possible to the skin.
Yep.
Not to press the stomach part, So you can with a credit card. Yeah, we talk about America. Everybody's got credit card, right? So even if you would be in the wildest wilderness, for sure you have a credit card or something. And then there's another thing that people are afraid. Oh my God! But the head is going to stick in, and I just cut off the body. And yes, there is really little chance that you can remove a tick that's attached very strongly. There is really very little chance you can remove with the head. So the head is going to break into your skin or your dog's skin.
Well, I gotta stop you there. I gotta stop you there. I am a guy. I prove that 100% wrong. I have 100% success rate when I remove a tick properly, correctly. I have 100% success rate on getting the head out and everything out of myself and out of my dogs. And you nailed it. You nailed how to do it properly. I've done it every single way. and I always use tweezers. I've tried other things, and you keep the body of the tick as close to the plane of your skin. You keep it basically parallel, so you don't pull up, which is perpendicular. You pull across, so you keep it as close to the paint. So you back it out. You basically back the tick out as close to the plane of your skin. You're backing it out this way, as close to it, and you do it very slow. You don't yank it, you don't pull it. You can see its little legs, it hates you for it, but when it knows what's going down, I swear to God, every single tick that has its little head burrowed in there, when it knows it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, or I gotta let go, it's pulling me out, 100%, legitimately, it's worked 100% of the time. So I can say that I've gotten ticks out with their heads in, but only that case. And when it's not worked, it's always been where it didn't have the angle right, or like you were saying, you don't want to press on the belly of it. You don't really want to, because if you, the position of the what did I just say?
Tweezers?
Thank you, tweezers. Yes, thank you, tweezers. Where you position them on the tick is very important, because and how you apply pressure, because as you know, you could very easily just pull the tick apart, right? The stomach, like you were saying, you could basically
Yes.
just pull it
Or
apart.
the belly, sorry. Yeah.
The belly, stomach, or I don't know the anatomy of a tick. I'm not as intimate with a tick as you are, but there are all those considerations. If you back it out as close to the plane of the skin slowly, you have the tweezers positioned on the tick's body more towards the head, as close to the head, not the belly or the back, and you do it slow, you'll get a really good success rate. So what do you recommend then, Daniel? Because I don't know how to do this. When the head gets stuck in the skin, what do you do?
When the head stucks in, there is no more chance of infestation.
Okay.
So it's gonna your body is going to do the rest. So so
You leave the tick head in.
It's simple as that. The tick head is going to get out just when you have a dorn, under the skin.
Yeah, the immune system like circles around it and forms a little pustule, and then
exactly.
Yeah, but I gotta tell you, I can't stand having the tick head in me, because I've done that. I've failed a couple of times, and I can't have a tick head in me.
Now, wait. You said 100% of the time you got it, and now you just said you failed a couple of times.
No, when I've done it right. I've tried to pull ticks
okay.
out
When you've done
quickly,
Okay.
fast. The conditions were bad. I slipped a couple of times. I didn't have good lighting. So when I do it correctly, it's 100%. But yeah, there are some times where I've had the heads in me, and I just can't. I know it's not going to infest me, but the fact that there's a tick head in me is not tenable.
Yeah, that grosses me out.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll get a knife or whatever I have to do to just dig it out. So
yeah, but maybe there's one more interesting thing that we could talk about, since all of your amazing organization is unfortunately because of cancer, or from our point of view, thanks God, because of cancer, because I really hoping for you to succeed, and I want to support as much as I can, because it's really that everyone felt it. I felt it. My mom got breast cancer, not on my pets. Now my dog Zuma, she's 3 years of age, and she's healthy as hell, and so I pray to God that she stays that way. But really, in our family, we had a lot of problems, and so there is one thing in the beginning you just mentioned about the way people usually protect their pet from ticks, with chemicals, spot-ons, that goes into the body of the pet. And then when the tick is sucking blood, the tick sucks out the poison and the toxics, and then dies off. So just to make sure that everyone understands what we're talking about. So the chemicals, it's when you put an XL collar on a small dog, you're going to kill that dog. So So that it's really, really dangerous because we talk about toxics. So how chemicals are, they really do the job. So they really can kill ticks. But you know, since dogs are just not the same, there's not two dogs similar to each other 100%. So how the chemicals are made, it's in a collar you choose for your dog, the size, medium size, let's say. So you buy a medium collar or a medium spot on, or a tablet so this is going to have just enough toxics in it to not kill your dog,
Right.
but to eventually kill the tick when it sucks blood. And this is where it gets tricky. So it would be, chemicals are also not 100%. So you still can have, sorry.
And more importantly, well, I have to stress this too. And more importantly, that chemical has to remain in your dog active for an extended period of time, because most of the drop on, or the solution that you put on the base of the neck, the nape of the neck on dogs, that'll last up to 6 to 30 days or so. So not only are you introducing a toxic chemical into your companion animal, that chemical then stays in the blood as a slow release over 30 days. So that toxin stays in your companion's blood. So because of the work that we do at the Puppy Hub Foundation, we try to keep chemicals, non-organic or inorganic or natural chemicals out of your companions, out of yourself as best as possible. But you're right that the tick and flea preventative chemicals that are out there are amongst the deadliest, dangerous, potentially carcinogenic. I don't want to get in some trouble because there are companies. I truly believe that there are companies that are ethically working on good, safe solutions out there. But that's why I want this to work, Daniel, so much, is because I try not to put any chemicals at all into Grayson or my kids. I'm even so neurotic about it. I even look at shampoos. I want to make sure that the shampoos that I'm using, any chemicals, I pretty much prevent. So that's a very important point, pet parents, is that you have to, that's kind of your choice. If you're, and that's it, Daniel, that's kind of the rub. It's a trade-off, right? Is that the reason why people use the chemical-based tick, not preventatives or whatever they're called, is because the danger or the risk, right? If they don't, they're really exposed to a greater risk of the dog getting Lyme disease or tick paralysis or one of the other Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which is potentially lethal. I'm sure you know there are just a ton of them. They're all bad. All the tick-borne diseases are bad. So it's a trade-off, right? And it's a really unfortunate trade-off. Do I introduce chemicals to my dog that could cause cancer, years down the road, to prevent a disease today? That's a really bad, that's a tough choice that pet parents have to make. So I love what you're doing, Daniel, and I'm a believer in it, but I'm also a believer in data. And so I'm going to give you a lot of data and feedback. I will tell you exactly how many ticks. I will take pictures. If Ginger gives me your cell number, if there's one tick, you're going to get a pic for me. I'm going to be texting you in the middle of the night.
Well, make sure you read the instructions so that you're doing it correctly.
Yeah, well, I think Daniel did a great job of telling me how to use it properly on my shoelaces, on my hiking boots, and then the collar. So, but I believe feedback and data is really important. So Daniel, I'll be giving you data, let you know how it goes, and I'm excited. But then I'll take that data and I'll help you in whatever way I can on a personal level. The foundation as well. Be happy to, because anything that prevents cancer downstream is something we're a big fan of. So I'm a believer in it now. I'm going to find out here in the field, and I leave in 2 days' time. So I'm going to, just out of the gate, I'm going to be putting this thing to test. So we will be in touch, and I will let you know. And we'll probably have you back, Ginger. Let's have him back on after the walk is done. Let's have him back on for a follow-up 15-minute Fast Fuzzy Butts and Friends. Would you like to do that, Daniel?
Oh yeah, sure. I would really love to listen.
Well,
to
I love
hear
talking
about
to
it.
you. I love talking to you because you're excited, but you're knowledgeable. I love the fact that you're so passionate about the technology that even though it wasn't your strength, you wanted to educate yourself, and you went to the university and you got the parasitology education. I love the story, and the fact that you're excited, and the fact that you seem like we could talk for another hour about ticks. I have so many tick stories. You and I are a lot alike. We're nerds about it. But it's we're about an hour right now, and Ginger probably will not eat for maybe a day after this
Ginger would freak
podcast.
out, I think. Yeah.
Oh, well, this is a tick story. So Luke's two dogs, when he did the first walk, he stopped the walk and he went back home to visit his family. And I had the two dogs. So I'm in my bedroom and I thought that I saw a spider on the wall. So I go over to kill the spider. And when I got closer, no, it was a tick and her entire family. And there were probably 50 to 100 ticks on that wall when I got over there to inspect. So yeah, I have a tick. That is my tick story. And no, I don't do ticks. No, but I do want to thank you, Daniel, for donating the Tickless products to us. And I thought I was going to be joining Luke, so he has my Tickless. So I'm just going to order one because I do have to go into the woods, and I want to make sure I have 0 ticks.
We really love to support everything you do. It's really amazing. And I just looked at the first podcast. I think it was 2010. It was just the day when we started our business over here.
Oh wow, you went back to a long time.
Yeah. We've been let's see, my first walk was 2008. I left Austin, Texas, and got to Boston in 2010. So almost 15 years we've been funding research, clinical trials, trying to understand the links between cancer and pets and people. And now we're going to be focused on treatment with the Hudson Hope Fund. So it's our mission. And certainly our mission dovetails into the work that you're doing. Actually, I'm a believer, I don't know who's not a believer in holism, is that, anytime you're trying to solve a problem that's endemic to a species, it's going to have that trade-off. It's going to cause downstream problems it's a trade-off, right? And I always liked how it was said perfectly, there are no solutions, there are just trade-offs. So the companies that were developing a solution to ticks a long time ago, unfortunately didn't realize that, hey, the trade-off is we prevent ticks today, but we're potentially causing cancer a couple of years from now. And to me, that's not tenable because a number of reasons. It's not only you're giving cancer to the dog, but we know epigenetics is such a powerful concept. So if that dog is potentially, breeding or can breed, then that dog can, if it's got that tick preventative chemical in its system, it could then reproduce. And we're just putting the carcinogens, the cancer genes back into the gene pool. And we're already looking at between certain breeds, 60 to 70% of dogs in certain breeds will get cancer. I've lost 3 dogs. 3 of my Great Pyrenees, and all 3 of them have died from cancer. My first one, bone cancer. Second one was nasal adenocarcinoma, and my last one recently, a little over a year ago, was mast cell tumors. And so that's why I'm up here doing this walk along the Hudson River, because I just lost him a year ago. So as you know, cancer, it affects everyone, our companions. Cancer touches everyone, as we say at Puppy Up. So it is everyone's problem and responsibility. So thank you so much for supporting us, Daniel, and donating these wonderful devices that I can't wait to try. And we will be in touch and have you back on Fuzzybutts and Friends. Daniel, would you tell our audience how to find you and find the Tickless solution?
It's just as easy as tickless.com.
Tickless.com. That's that easy. What about social media? Are you on social media?
Oh yes, we do social media, which is you can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, Tickless USA, and whatever questions you might have, we're happy to answer on Facebook. That's convenient for everyone, I think. So yes, look out
we
for
will
Tickless.
tag you. We will tag you as soon as we drop this episode. We will tag you on Facebook, Insta, and Twitter. we're on. I don't think we're doing this on Fuzzybutts and Friends on TikTok yet. We need to be doing it on there, but we will do that and tag you on that. Ginger, is there anything that I forgot about since I'm up here in a trailer about to launch the walk? I tend to forget things. Did I miss anything?
No, not that I can think of, except for our cancer tip.
Yeah, I'm going to
of the
get
week.
to that. I appreciate
Okay.
you're jumping the gun a little bit. Well, how about we
Okay.
do what we like to do every episode is the Puppy Up Foundation cancer tip of the week. Ginger, do you have one for us this week?
I do. And, you know, I'm always fussing about lumps and bumps, but this time you need to check your dog's lymph nodes. So the dog's lymph nodes are, you know, just make sure that they're not swollen. And if they are, you know, that could be an indication that your dog has lymphoma. But the lymph nodes are on the neck, they're around their collarbones, they're in their armpits, the groin area, and behind their knees, which was new to me. I feel behind my dog's knees, but I didn't actually realize that there were lymph nodes behind the knees. So if you, when you're checking your dog for lumps and bumps, check those areas as well. And if there's any swelling, watch it, and then take your dog to the veterinarian to make sure that it does not have lymphoma.
Yeah, I didn't know about behind the knees. I knew all the other spots for the site for lymph nodes. But you know, that's it. That really is a great point, because not only is it all about cancer, if you have swollen lymph nodes, the lymph nodes produce they're part of the immune response. So the lymph nodes fire up whenever you have some type of infection, something's going on. So you need to keep your eye on your dog's lymph nodes, not only for cancer, but also it could be an indication of infection. So if you do have a swollen, inflamed, or enlarged lymph node, get him to your vet ASAP. Ginger, that was a great cancer tip of the week, courtesy of the Puppy Up Foundation. On that note, folks, I want to thank Daniel Kiss from ProtectOne with the Tickless solution for being a part of Fuzzybutts and Friends. Daniel, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you.
You are indeed.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. Because of your work to get rid of ticks and our Fuzzybutts, you are indeed a friend of the Fuzzybutts, and we will have you back on. So thank you so much again. That's it for this episode of Fuzzybutts and Friends. Puppy up. Talk soon.